Hello there, this is Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk. This is just a quick little video to remind us engineers and us that like playing with this stuff, not to always jump to conclusions when you get a fault. Because the other day I thought I'd killed my Spectrum Plus 3. What happened was I've been playing a few games on it. I got my old Cheetah 125 Plus out here. It's not the best joystick in the world. I think that's the only fire button that still actually works on it, but it does still work just about. I will rebuild it one day. But anyway, yeah, I had that out and I had the old Spectrum hooked up and rigged up on the screen there, and I was playing a game and I got distracted and I had to turn round to get something. I still had the joystick in my hand and I literally pulled the joystick out from the computer and I shoved it back in, not thinking, and the game froze. The joystick wouldn't respond to the game. The character just went all to one side and nothing would happen. So I thought, oh, plug in the joystick. Silly thing to do. Shouldn't do that with these old computers. You should never really plug or unplug a joystick on any of these old systems, really. I think the C64s were even worse because you used to kill, was it the PLA in the C64? I think it was the PLA you used to kill by unplugging and plugging peripherals into the joystick ports. But anyway, yeah, so I thought, oh, I've upset it, so I pressed the reset button and the computer rebooted, but like this. So it just did a normal reboot, it come back up to there, but when it come back up to the screen it sounded like you had the key held down. So, can you hear that noise? It was making that noise constantly and nothing would respond. When you pressed the key though, it stopped. That was me just holding the key down just to show you what it was doing. So it was making that sound constantly. And I thought, oh, hang on. It sounds like there's a key pressed, but I knew there wasn't a key pressed on the membrane. So I thought, oh, something happened to the membrane in it. So next thing I did is I opened it up and I disconnected the keyboard. So the keyboard wasn't connected at all. And I powered it back up and I got the same. It powered up and I got the key pressed and I thought, oh god. I got the circuit diagram out for the Spectrum Plus 3 and I traced it out, and the joystick ports and the keyboard ports, remembering on the Spectrum that the joystick is mapped to the number keys on the keyboard. It's that simple. So they're connected together and they go straight into the ULA. Now if you kill a ULA on the earlier Spectrums, like the old Spectrum 48K and the original 128K, it's just a 40 pin package. Sometimes it's even socketed on a lot. Other times it's soldered to the board, but removing a 40 pin package, putting a IC socket in there and putting a new ULA in, you know, apart from the fact you've got a dead ULA, which is never good with Spectrums because you can't get them anymore. It's not a major issue, but on the Plus 2A and the Plus 3 they actually use a 100 pin surface mount device for the ULA, and I've changed one before in a Plus 2A, and even with the correct equipment, you know, I have hot air rework station, I have all the correct tweezers, everything to get it off, I've got nice fine point soldered irons to put the new one back on. It's a 100 pin device, it's very fine pitch and it's an absolute bugger of a job to do. So I wasn't relishing it. Fortunately there's a nice chap online who he has a good stock of them in stock, and they're 15 quid, which is really very reasonable, to be honest. So getting the part wasn't a problem. Changing it I was not relishing at all. I thought, oh hum, I'm going to have to do it. So I thought, I'll make a video about it. So I started making a video and I started dismantling the computer again so I could make this video. And I got it all apart again. I must have had it on its end to get the 2 screws out of this side that hold the disk drive in. And I took it apart. And I took the keyboard off and I powered it up on the monitor just so it'd make the same noise that it was before. And it didn't. It worked perfectly. So I thought, hang on, what's going on here? So I switched it all off again and I connected the keyboard back up thinking there must be something wrong with the keyboard. But no, nothing. It worked perfectly. The keyboard works fine. It's as it is now. As you can see, you know, I can I'll get it onto the screen there. I can load the file loader, the +3 file loader up. No problem at all there. I can select menus. Remember, it takes a little while, this thing. But look, got all the games here. Let's load the game. There we go. It works absolutely fine. So it started getting me wondering. So I started looking around on the desk, and where I'd had the Spectrum upended, I found this. Now I don't know if I can actually even show you this. It's so tiny. But it's a tiny, there we go, it's just showing up on camera. I can't focus in on it very well, but it's a tiny, tiny little piece of wire. I've dropped it on the desk again now. And all I can think is, somehow, when I disconnected and reconnected the joystick, that little bit of wire had got stuck in joystick port 1. And it was shorting out a couple of the pins in joystick port 1. And that would be the same as holding down one of the buttons on the keyboard. So even though I disconnected the keyboard to eliminate that, because them pins were shorted together inside the joystick port 1, it was making it look as though there was keys pressed on the keyboard even though there wasn't a keyboard connected. So that's what's making me suspect the ULA. So that little piece of wire could have cost me 15 quid for a new part and a couple of hours of messing about, taking the old one off, putting the new one on, to find that the computer still doesn't work. And all it was that tiny little piece of wire. So the moral goes to show, even when you've been doing this for years and years like I have, you still get tripped up by silly little things like that. I've rambled on far too long now anyway here, so I'll leave it at that, and just think in the future when you come up with a complex fault, it may have a really, really, really simple solution. So thanks for watching that, and goodbye.